Welcome to the Best Hour of Their Day podcast with your host, Jason Fernandez.
And me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
As both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day.
one. Oh, that clap. It's like a Pavlov's reaction. Did you see that, Katie? I clapped. That's how our relationship is. When I clap like that, Fern knows. Get your shit together. It's go
time.
Are you equating Fern to a dog then?
Yes.
Not the most intelligent dog, right? But a dog.
A dog that will bite
Attack.
you real hard. Yeah, will bite you. Yeah. So
Fern is
be
that
careful.
dog. He's like,
Be careful.
He's like, hey, pet me. But at any moment, I may snap.
No, don't pet me.
Would you want to be pet as a dog?
Nope.
I would. I would want my belly scratched.
No, we know. Yeah. You'd be a fat little bulldog who like literally does nothing.
I would. Well, I'd be a French bulldog because I'm smaller. But yeah, I would definitely.
Way, you'd be fat because you wouldn't do anything. Just pet me. Pet me. Tell me that I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, I mean, Rocky is pretty much me as a dog. Like, he likes to just sit on laps and be pet. He's a scavenger for food. Like, such a scavenger. You ever see a Half Baked? That's what it always reminds me of. When Dave Chappelle's like, you scavenger.
I'm Cuban, B.
We should watch Half Baked with Katie in Virginia Beach.
Done.
Katie, you've probably never seen Half Baked, have you?
Great movie. That's a great movie. It's an underrated.
You are too young. All right, so we're wrapping up 2021.
It's terrifying to say.
Well, we were just having a call with our, for the listeners, we have Affiliate U, and then beyond Affiliate U, we have a grad program. So you finish the curriculum, and there's an opportunity to continue to work with us, to continue to take your box to the next level. And I mean, man, Katie, you were on the call. Those boxes, like, they are literally the 1% of boxes. Like, I mean, every one of their goals is like another full-time person, grow to 150, take time away from the box, like goals outside of the business, buy a new home, buy a new car, buy rental property. Like, man, just listening to them, Fern, the thing that shocked me was I'm like, I've only known you guys for like a year now. Like, we launched Affiliate U in around November, I want to say, of 2020.
Yep.
And so just over a year ago, I mean, life has changed for you, for me, in many different ways. We can talk about that. But the cool thing is, like, I read something recently where anyone can recreate themselves in 5 years. And I think
5 years is a long time, dude.
Exactly. Bless you, Katie. Bless you, Katie. First of all, when Madison sneezes, she laughs. It's so funny. She just thinks it's hysterical. But I think it's a year. I think we just proved it's 1 year. In 1 year, you can truly change the trajectory of your business and your life.
In both directions, just so that we're clear on that.
Yeah, oh, for sure. For sure.
You can destroy everything you've built in 1 year, and you can completely recreate yourself in 1 year. You could do both.
But you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. I'm throwing this out there. You and I have talked about the Joe Rogans, the Dave Chappelles. I think one more name needs to be added to that list, and that name is Jason Ackerman. And when I say that, I'm talking about, what do you not, Katie?
I agree with you, Katie. Yeah.
I don't.
In no way, shape, or form would you ever be listed in the same breath as those two people.
Well, first of all, if I murdered them both, I would be, right? Okay. Oh, crazy level 4 CrossFit coach murders 2 comedians. Okay, right. Now all of a sudden I'm being mentioned, and
then everybody be like, "Wait a second, this is fake news because there's no such thing as a level 4." Swipe right.
Here's what I was going to throw out there. Just like those two, I'm uncancelable. You cannot cancel Jason Ackerman.
I can't wait to cancel you.
You're not going to, because I can't be canceled. Katie, now do you change your mind on what I was saying? Because you were shaking your head no.
Mostly because like being canceled isn't really a thing. I mean, it's just like, if you really think about it, if you make your money in the public arena, probably where people could cut you off at the knees and like be like, for the average person, it's not a thing, right? Like, your life will go on. But if somebody wants to, call your work and do some crazy stuff like that, or if you're making your money on certain platforms and they just cut you off, yeah, you could be canceled. But what's interesting is here's what's interesting, like watching a lot of those people that have been, in air quotes, canceled, like pivot pretty quickly to recreate themselves. This is an interesting topic. So I was listening to Joe Rogan this morning. So Matt Taibbi, who is a investigative journalist, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
See, they were talking about the Rittenhouse trial a little bit.
I mean, they're talking about a lot of things. They're talking about a lot of things, but they were more talking about, they had a pretty lengthy discussion about the morphing of media and moving, and how independent journalists now own a massive amount of the journalism space, but what that shift looked and felt like, because there was people that lived in the what we'll describe as mainstream media arena for so long, and then having to shift away from that, which is kind of like moving from a corporate job to becoming an entrepreneur. That's pretty much the same thing, which is like, I work under this umbrella and it provides most of the safety and stability for me, pays my pay, all that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of benefits that come to that. But then I venture out on my own, and there's a lot of pros and cons to that. There's a little bit less stability, but if you're good at what you do, you could actually thrive and do more. Like what we've talked about, Crystal and Sagar, like they did the same thing. So they left the Hill, and then, is it? I forget what it is, but they left that platform, and they do their own thing right now, and they're crushing, but it's independent, because they get to do what they want and provide a tremendous amount of value, and this has nothing to do with politics, just the idea of recreating yourself, and which is kind of today's topic, is setting goals. Like, you're not going to do any of those things without clearly identifying a target and then starting to march towards it.
But are you agreeing that I cannot be canceled?
No, you're canceled right now. Yeah, Katie, mute him, and then we'll just show him how this works.
She already tried. She already tried to mute me today.
It worked.
But, I say that in jest, but I think when you've talked this much, Joe Rogan says this about himself. It's like, you can't cancel me because we talk every day, and you guys know who I am. You know my feelings. When I say some shit, I'm speaking hyperbolically, or it's my way of expressing my empathy and care. So whatever.
It's too large of a body of work for somebody to pigeonhole you into a singular statement or idea, right? That's the whole thing about, like, he has whatever, like 1,500 podcasts at roughly 3 hours a whack. So I don't know how many hours that is, but like thousands of hours of him unpacking ideas, real time with somebody, that's unscripted, just completely unabridged thoughts. It's really hard for somebody to be like, Joe Rogan is this or he's that, and it's just like, well, I have 17 hours of him discussing the exact opposite topic and coming this from a different angle. So you're just doing this to create controversy for the sake of controversy's sake.
Exactly. So with that being said, we were kind of going into it. 2021 was successful. Let's do a brief recap. I mean, like we said, we launched November of 2020. Here we are over a year later. Do you think, or did we hit your goals for the business?
Yeah. I mean, we outlined our goals, we identified them, and then so we hit both. So we hit the goals that we wanted to do with regard to podcasts, with regard to getting Affiliate U up and running. And then we hit all of our goals in CrossFit Rifes, at which point we've already reevaluated both of those and set new ones for 22, and both Affiliate U, the podcast. Like, we wanted to reformat the podcast format and go in person. Done. That's now a thing. We wanted to revise Affiliate U to create this better, more extensive version. Done. Like, that'll launch this month. We wanted to help X amount of gyms. We wanted to get to, I think it was 100. Done. We did that. And then revised all of those moving forward into in addition to setting new goals with regard to helping coaches. That is in the works. Will be online within 90 days, probably. If we miss the mark, whatever, it'll definitely happen in 2022. And then the same thing for CrossFit Rife. Like, we wanted to hit revenue goals. We wanted to hit member goals. I wanted to hit staff goals. We hit all of those. And Now we missed some marks along the way. Like we missed some of the
You
kind
and
of like
I,
secondary.
or the docs?
Probably both. I'd have to unpack ours a little bit, but at the box we missed some of the kind of like the smaller tertiary or secondary goals inside of those larger goals. But those are just refinements moving forward. But we like we'll do our staff retreat in January, which is like we'll put a finishing touches on all of the stuff for 2022. But I've already outlined a bunch of it already, and then like Friday, actually, as when this comes out, we will like Cassidy and Lindsay and I will get together and we will do like a creative strategy session to start to pull apart a lot of the ideas that we've already put on paper and basically do a racking and stacking and a priority list and say, that idea is shit. Don't go. We're not doing that one. This one needs a little bit of like more clarity on it. Like, should we even do that? But we have member numbers, we have program numbers, we have calendar goals, we have pay goals, we have all that stuff. And what I have found far more often than not is even if you don't hit them, what you typically will see is improvement, which at the end of the day, that's a win.
Well, and that was kind of the, I would love to dig in a little deeper and even give a little peek behind the curtain of some of our goals and what we're trying to do here at, with Best Hour, with Affiliate U. But knowing we speak to a lot of box owners and coaches, how do you go about setting your goals for the box, for Rife, and for your coaching staff, for your Lindsays and Cassidys?
Well, I could tell you how I used to do them, at which point I would hit none of them.
Yeah, well, what did that look like?
I would say the same thing that all gym owners would say, be like, I want to get to 100 members. Right. And they're like, cool. We've left out all of the how or any semblance of how to form a how. Right. Or even a why, more importantly. Like, why do you want to get to 100 members?
That's a
like,
big
do you
one,
need
yeah.
to get right? So that's how I used to have like these just kind of like generic, arbitrary, goals. Right. So this is one that happens far more often than not. When I'll ask somebody who's inquiring about affiliate, I'm like, what do you want? Like, what do you want this thing to look like? And they'll be like, I want to just making up numbers. I want 135 members. Okay.
But before you go any further, I just want to reiterate and agree with you. It's like, why? Like, I know you're going to go there, but it's like, cool. What is that? Like, we, as box owners, as entrepreneurs in general, it's like, oh, because of they have this feeling like that's the thing. If I can only get there,
right.
And then you see it in personal goals too. Like it's like a marriage, right? Oh, you know what? We're struggling this year. You know what we really need, Fern? You know what we need? You know what it is. What do we need? Our marriage is struggling.
A marriage counselor?
Well, that's what we do need.
More
But
time apart?
Yeah, well, what do most people then say? It's like, oh, let's have a kid. Okay, cool. Yeah, great idea.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same
like
principle. That's like having a second affiliate. You know what'll solve all my problems? Another affiliate.
And it was a mistake I made too. It's like, okay, what do I need? I need to expand. Turns out expanding actually causes you to lose money and time. But
yeah.
So
it's funny you bring that up. But yeah, so but I want to circle back to that to remind me. So the the following question is, what kind of revenue you want to do? And they're like, I hadn't even thought about it.
Well, that's really what we're getting at, right?
Right. But the answer far more often than not is like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, that is the far more relevant number, because like the client number, there's only one route to get to a client number, right? Just more, right? There is no other means of getting there. If there's a revenue number, I could do that, dare I say, infinite number of ways. There's not an infinite number of ways to do that, but I could do that a lot of different ways. So, I was kind of unpacking this yesterday, and this isn't a fully thought out idea. It's just the initial idea. So let's just make up a number here. Let's just say 100. I want 100. I want a growth of 100 members in 2022. And you're like, well, shit, dude, that's a lot. For most people, I'll be like, you've lost your mind. Don't do that. Okay. However, if you start to unpack that a little bit more and be like, how? Like, why? Why do you want to get to 100 more? Right. And then how are you going to get there? Right. Because if all you tell me is you want to grow your CrossFit core base by 100 members, I'm like, your retention and sales better be on point. Okay. But then if I say, well, I only want to get net 36 out of, my normal core CrossFit. And then what I want to try to do is I want to try to utilize some of the assets in the affiliate partner network via Optum and some of these other kind of like insurance providers where I can go to corporate entities to try to get memberships out of there. And if you haven't looked at that, you should. And I want to try to get 36 people out of there because that's a pool of people I don't normally have access to. Okay. That's a goal. It's not an unreasonable goal, 36 people. And then I want to try to grow kids programs or youth programs to 36. Well, that's over 100, but it's out of 3 separate buckets. And then what I can do is I can take those each buckets and I can divide them out. How would we get 36 kids? Well, I need to get 3 teams over the course of the year at roughly 10 to 12 a whack. Okay, cool. That's 36, right? And then try to get them into recurring. I need to reach out to how many companies that are participating in these insurance programs based on what's available. Okay, well I gotta hit all of them locally in the area. But the point is I can start to work my way backward from there. And all of a sudden 100 doesn't seem at all out of the question. Because if you break it down into these small pieces, you're like, it almost is laughable. You're like, well, of course we could do that. Like that just requires a little bit of work and a plan. And let's just say you only got 75% of the way there and you grow by 75. Nobody on the team is going to be upset. Because one of those I know is low. Like the net 36 is probably low based on our trend over the past 18 months. Like that's low. I'll probably overshoot that. So it means if I come in short on one of the other ones, I might make up the difference. And the whole thing is this. It actually is irrelevant if I hit the goal. If I get it, great. The point is, I have something very specific that I'm shooting at, and it's based in the idea worked backwards creates accountability. Going back to the previous podcast, which creates momentum because all of those have action items related to them. Okay, if we're going to do 36, like what's the first thing we do? We got to find out this full list of people participating in this program. Boom. What's the next thing we do? We got to reach out to them. Okay, well, when we reach out to them, what does that mean? Well, we have to work backwards and be like, what is the pitch and the offer that we can get in to talk to these people? So this now becomes a whole series of action items that put me in motion to start moving towards the goal.
Well, and that was kind of what I talked about with our group, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, but I did a couple things. One, I think for a lot of box owners and coaches and just in general entrepreneurs, personal and business goals tend to overlap. Right. So, and that's important, but I do think you should still be setting some goals on a personal level. And it's okay if there's... What's that?
I have those too.
What's a personal goal you have for next year?
I'm trying to take 3 shooting courses next year.
Meaning?
I'm trying to register for 3 shooting courses next year.
So this is the same question I kind of would have posed to them. It's like, okay, why are you not just go sign up?
First one is I haven't decided which one I want to do first. So some of it is like location and equipment. So what type of course? Well, if I'm going to do long range shooting, well, that one's out until later next year because I don't have the tools for that. Right. So then it's like, okay, cool. Then it's either going to be pistol or carbine. And I'm like, which one is going to be the closest so that I can try to like get it on this calendar and get like one in the first quarter. So starting to go through those courses and then figure out, okay, well, these are my 2 options. Can I get coverage for the kids? And then I'm like, okay, cool. Boom. Then I'm registered at that point. But it wasn't in a specific order. It's just like, hey, 3, and it might all 3 be pistol courses. I don't know. Like I didn't pigeonhole to that. The point was 3. That's it.
Awesome. But I love how that's personal and it really has nothing to do with business.
No, it's personal to learn, right? Because I want to learn. I want to be the student. So I want to go there and have somebody challenge me and be like, "You suck. Like, fix that. Like, what are you doing?" And here's some things to practice. That I can take back home and then practice and do that.
And you and I have discussed the importance of being a student again. I think a lot of people in the CrossFit space, they kind of become the coach, become the teacher, and then it's like they never are the student again. And as a student, obviously it's important just to change your brain and not have to be the one that's in charge and thinking, but it's also a great way to learn more and to really consider how you're learning and some of the, when I go to jujitsu every day, it's like, oh, I really enjoyed this or I didn't like that. And there are things that you're going to implement. So I would say for everybody listening, like go be the student, go learn a little bit somewhere.
Well, it's also to keep you sharp on your teaching. So being a student allows you to calibrate how you teach things, on what your expectation is for things like assigning homework and practice. It adds a layer of empathy, which I think is one of the big things that I think a lot of CrossFit box owners have an edge on, is that they do CrossFit. So I can speak directly to it. But then there's one level past that, which is, if we're really talking about what we're doing in the boxes, we're talking about personal transformation. Well, if you are not trying to personally transform yourself, you're not personally transforming anybody.
Mm-hmm. It's huge. It's huge. You need to be working on growth every day. So become a student. I think that's super valuable. But another thing I was going to mention is one thing that was abundantly clear on these calls is, you have to set a challenging goal, but something you kind of alluded to, it's like, okay, let's break it down, and then let's also figure out what can we do like now to get moving on that goal. Like, what are some of the things we can do? A lot of people just set these goals and, by the end of the year, they hope that it's there. That's not how this works.
Right. So let's talk about I love to break these down to like the most practical portion of this. So let's just say that you also wanted to pursue some of these, and again, these are not fully formed thoughts, right? They're just like the APN Optum is a program where you can have subsidized memberships via healthcare providers. Okay. So don't ask me any questions about that, because I haven't dove deep into it yet. But the point is, what's the first step? Well, the first step is register, like get registered into the program. So I'm registered for 3 separate versions of that already. Do I know how they work? No, but that wasn't the point. The point is I'll figure it out. But the first step was register. Like, why would you register if you don't know? Because it was the first action item. Register. Just register for the thing. And I'm in there and this is like, well, you need to finish setting up your profile. Set up my profile this morning. Get your banking information set up. Set it up this morning. I'm done. Now I can get to, okay, how do we start finding out who the participating entities are in this thing? And then I'll refine the offering, figure out how I'm going to do that, and then start working on, because there's multiple things that need to be ironed out here, which is, what does the intake for that athlete look like? Because it's different now. Or like, how's that sales process flow? Am I going to still do onboarding? How do I pitch that? Who's going to do the reporting for and billing for that? Because there is a layer of administrative function in this. It's not just like you get paid by the insurance company and they're like, here you go, free money. Like, there's things that need to happen there. So first thing is get registered. Second thing is refine the offer so that you can walk in and be like, same thing you would in a gym. Here's what we offer. Here's how it works, everybody. Right? Like, get the details ironed out. Then take that information and then figure out how it loops into your process, your sales process. What are the hangups? Collecting payment information, like all this kind of stuff that is probably not how you do it now. So I've get all of the back end stuff sorted out. And then what's the marketing plan? Who's the first company we're going to reach out to? When are we doing that? Who's responsible for it? Are we setting up a workshop? Is it going to be email? Am I going to call them? If they don't respond back, what do I do? All of these things. But all of those are action items that we'll check in on once we start moving forward, because then they become tasks, to-dos. Why is that not moving? Why is there zero forward progress? Are you blocked? Is there something you're waiting on me for? What's the deal? But it becomes very quickly like we're shooting at the target now. Like we've done all the practice. We set the paper down range. Like, we got ourselves set. We put like all of this in. Is like, now it's like, okay, pull the trigger, right? Send that round down range so that we can figure out what the hell it is we need to do next. Do I need to adjust? Do I need to move right? Do I need to move left? Like, how does all of that work? But I had to do all of the pre-work beforehand and determine what is the goal.
And a lot of what you just suggested there is what we were talking about on our call. And I think for a lot of people, I'll give you a handful of examples. Example number 1 would look like we had someone I want to take my level 3. Cool.
Right.
Go register. Go sign up. First of all, if you sign up for your level 3, at least I don't know if it's still accurate. You have to fill out some paperwork, and then you have a pretty extensive period of time, right, before you actually have to take it. So if you sign up today, I think you have like
I want to say it's at least 3 months. I don't want to say it's like it might be more than that. But so your first thing you have to register, but then there's follow-on actions after that. Then you have to submit all of your paperwork to get approved. Like you have to submit your hours, you have to check your credentials, right? You have to do all of that first. Then you get to the point where you can go and actually book your test. So that's a 3-step process before you even show up to actually take your test.
Yeah, but point is, go put it on your calendar, or even something. Here's a big picture thing. We had quite a few people, like we've suggested, I want to grow to this number, and for the record, all of our grad people had reasons behind it, like whether it's I want to bring on a new staff member, I want to pay myself more, like I have to achieve this number for that reason. And one of the things I told them is like that needs to be written down in plain sight, so you see it regularly, so your coaches see it regularly, so everybody on board at your affiliate, from a coaching perspective, maybe even members, know like, hey, this is our goal, and everything that we do, it's kind of like your values, right? Like everything you do needs to be moving you in that direction. If your goal is to hit 150 members, well, when someone new walks in, you look at that person as like, okay, this is actually moving me towards my goal. Maybe you treat them a little differently. Maybe the way you interact with them, maybe you show up a little more professional, know their name, all of those things. No different than, you and I, we set our goal for Affiliate U. And what does that look like? Hey, we have a call. All right, I've got, information pulled up about them. I've got their website pulled up. I know who I'm about to speak to. You need to be approaching everything that you do as, hey, that's advancing me forward towards that goal. And, so I would 100% you should be writing your goals. This is what I did with the group. I think everyone listening should think about doing the following. You need 6 goals for next year, in my opinion, if not more, but give or take. Personal and business for a short-term goal, and that should be within 3 months. A midterm goal within 6 months, and then your long-term end of the year goal. And I think they should be personal and business. So I think you should write those 6 down.
So some people find that to be too much, right? But so the way I would do that is I just set the long-term goals and then I work backwards. So all of the short, medium, and long-term, they're all related.
I like that.
They're all related. It's just like, so if the long-term is 3, well, then the short-term is 1. So I got to get registered for 1 in the first, 4 months of the year. So so I'm constantly checking in on my on pace or off pace. So this would be no different than in the business. If you want to hit 100, well, mathematically speaking, by March, you should be at 25, right? Are you on track or off track? But then the question becomes, what are you doing to make that happen? So we had the same conversation yesterday because we had our weekly staff meeting. And here's what else is important. You need to tell somebody what the goal is, right? Like you need to have somebody who's just like, almost like an accountability buddy. So I sat down and kind of ironed out some of the stuff that I want to do with the staff, at which point I got challenged by both of them, which I'm totally fine with, by the way. I want them to challenge it. And the questions were like, why are we doing that? And I was like, here's why. Here's what I think. And I said, I'm open to all of your inputs. Some of these are fully thought through. Some of them are not. But they're all leveraging the main goal, which is here. And here's why we want to do that. We want to bring on an additional coach. If we can, we'd like to have somebody on the marketing side. But we also need to look at, we have, and there's a lot of affiliates in this scenario. We have 15 months left on our lease, right? So we are looking to buy a building, which means we need to have a certain amount of capital on hand. So like, why are we trying to grow? Well, because I'm trying to create long-term stability, and that's going to cost a significant amount of capital in order to make that happen. So now they're on board with the idea of growing sales because the long-term repercussions of that has significant impact on their future stability. They're like, okay, we're going into our own space, and I know what that means for overhead. Okay, well, I'm down. Like, oh, and can I help you design the space? Yeah, absolutely. Like, why not? But all along the way, Cassidy really pushed. Like he pushed hard yesterday, and it was fine. It was a great conversation. He was like, "Listen," he's like, "I'm pushing." the whole thing. He was just like, he's like, listen, I'm doing this because this has, if we choose the wrong targets, it affects my livelihood. And I was like, legit, right? And I don't want to do what we did, whatever that was 4 or 5 years ago when we got out over our skis. He's like, I would prefer to not repeat that. And I was like, you and me both, my friend. And so then I walked him through how these are substantially different with regard to risk, liability. And I was like, all of these ideas, all of them are essentially zero to low risk, high yield and targets. Where before, what we did before were like low yield, low return, high risk targets. And that was just lack of forethought, stupidity, ignorance, any number of things. Lack of having somebody, a mentor or a coach in my life to be like, don't do that. There's better options out there, so we talked through all that, and he was like, that makes sense. He was like, I understand why these are not problematic, but it was good that he asked, and it was good that I had an answer.
Well, and I think what's really important too that you're really kind of brushing over is for box owners out there, they should be including their coaching staff on this. They need to get buy-in. They need to get, the coaching staff behind them. For so many affiliates, it's like the goal is, it was abundantly clear on today's call, I want to bring on full-time people, right? And in order to do so, they have to be a part of the team. They have to be pushing the needle forward. It can't just all be on your shoulders and then like they get paid. It has to be like, what are you bringing to it? And you have, Cassidy and Lindsay, 2 great coaches that do that well. But for a lot of affiliates, they need that. And I would recommend, sit down with your coaching staff. End of the year is a great time to have a little one-on-one reflection. Like, what are your, have that conversation with them. What are their goals? Helps you to kind of figure out what the course of action is, but also gets everybody on the same team. And whether that's, hey, our goal as a team is get to 150 members, or whether it's, to build a new, building for us, it's important for that. But also, what we're saying is break it down and chunk it down. A lot of people, especially that end of the year goal, it's super daunting. And then it's like, you just get paralysis by analysis and do nothing. Where if you're like, okay, I did the first step, I registered, now what? And you and I are constantly telling our clients, like, put it in your calendar, write it down, like, keep yourself accountable, tell somebody. There's numbers out there that suggest if you tell someone, you're twice as likely to hit your goal. If you tell multiple people, if you have a group of accountability, there's all these things you can do to help. Whether, one of our clients, John, mentioned, the 5 a.m. club, or he calls it the 6 a.m.
Right.
club. But, it's like, are you getting up early every day? Like, that's one small thing you can be doing to advance it. But set these goals, put them in your calendar, be working towards them every day. I mean, look, you and I have a good time. We joke a lot, but we bust our butts. And, one of the things I was joking with our group is I said, for all the hardness and right-wing stuff you will hear come out of Fern's mouth, He's very.
You, bro.
I'm the right wing supremacist. Yeah. You are very much in the manifesting mindset, as am I. Where I joked that it was like Fern will set these ridiculous. He will make ridiculous statements, and you think I make ridiculous statements? Fern makes ridiculous statements, and it's like, but we hit him. And part of it is you just got to put that shit out there. You got to have a partner, that bounces, ideas and pushes you to hit those goals. And I think, like, once you say it, and once you really, I tell Roz, all the time, like, Fern says we're going to do this. And I'm like, well, he's typically right. So we probably are, and it's like, but you have to put it out there.
Just clip that, just Katie.
But, well, now, you set these crazy goals. And like I said, in fairness, I'm like, I never would have thought we'd, a year ago, have what we have with Affiliate U, be on the road, have Katie on board, having worked with over 100 affiliate, like all those things. It wasn't like, hey, magic. It was a lot of small steps along the way.
At the risk of making myself look good, but those were if you reverse engineered those goals, like, how do you make a large goal seem not large? right? Like, will you break it down to the one singular action that would move you in that direction, right? More often than like, and I've missed on a lot, by the way. So I don't want anybody to be like, this dude just, he crushes all his goals. No, I've missed on way more than I've hit, which is typically how it goes anyway. But in the process of doing that, I've learned to refine them so that I hit far more often. So it's just like everything else, right? It's just like you have to put a bunch of goals out there and you miss, and the miss percentage just starts really, really high. And then you recalibrate, like, why did I miss? Do I not know what I'm talking about? Did I really whiff on timeline? The running joke with my wife years ago is like, she's like, whatever idea you have, it's 18 months longer than that. You're like, it's 3 months. And you're like, it's 2 years, right? Like, it's just 2 years, right? So learning to refine that and then learning to work them backward into what's the first, like, what could I do like right now? So going back to the gun, to shooting courses. Well, the first thing I had to do was like, I have a pistol that needs to be fixed. So what I do today was like, on the email, they're like, hey, fill out this thing, send it out. Be like, boom, got it. I got to mail it back. I got to send it to them to get fixed. So that's part of the process. So in your process, not just setting goals, what you'll do is you will identify things that are broken. Going back to the broken windows concept that we've talked about before. What is currently broken that would be preventing you from taking the first action item? That now becomes the first action item, which is like, you can't move forward on this thing until you get that fixed. Or one now becomes a forcing function, which is like, well, hey, if you're like, hey, I need to get this fixed, and they're like, what would force you to get it fixed? Registering for the course. You're like, oh shit, now I need to get fixed in 90 days. I got to get it out tomorrow.
You need that urgency, right? Like, I think the one of the best parts about being an entrepreneur is you're in control and you make the decisions. And one of the worst parts about being an entrepreneur is you're in control and you make the decisions, right? Sometimes it's like, as an entrepreneur, you don't want someone to tell you what to do, but you need that once in a while. And it's okay if it's you, right? It's okay if it's like, I'm holding myself accountable.
Yeah, and some of that is just putting things on the calendar. I owe you this thing on this day. And then when you don't deliver, they're like, don't you owe me some report or something? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't do that.
The report, the thing about that.
The TPS reports. I'm gonna need you to come in on Saturday. So I think it's just figuring out what that is, and then just continuing to chunk it down. It's like, what is the first, like, and it doesn't need to be a huge action item. Like, to the point where, like, literally the first action item was send an email.
Yeah, and that, but that's it. Like, sometimes that's what we need. Just like, what's one thing I can do? Send that email.
Send the email, because that will create a follow-on action. It will start the ball rolling, at which point somebody will give me a task, or they're like, fill this form out. Okay, what's the next action? Fill the form out. Right. And then what do? They're like, they're like, we're going to send you the shipping information. I'm like, cool. So now my action item is get that in the mail. And then I'm done until it comes back. But I've got the momentum where before I'd be like, well, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, are you though? Like, are you though? Like, get the ball rolling. Like, find out what is the most simple action item that would get you moving in that direction. If you have a goal for, let's make this super practical. If you have a goal for, let's say you wanted to get your net 36 for next year, right? You're abiding by the net 3 that we preach, net 36. Cool. How would you do that? Well, the first thing I would tell you is, like, I want you to put 3 bring a friend weeks on the calendar. That's it. That's the first goal. Break out 2022 calendar. I was like, I want 3 weeks in the year, and I want you to put bring a friend week on there. That's the first action item. Put it on the calendar. That's done now. Okay. Second action item is now I got to start filling in around that, but there will be, when do I want to start to promote that? Or do you have a referral program or offer built out already? If you don't, that's your follow-on action item. What's the referral offer?
Then we can chunk it down. Like, what does the programming look like for that week? Right. Do I need more coaches on that week because classes are going to be busier? Do I need to make sure I'm available? Like, but you got to start.
Right. And I was literally just on the phone this morning with somebody who just signed up for the course, and she's like, I've never done anything to actively grow the business. This is an 8-year affiliate. Never done anything to actively grow the affiliate. And until she's like, I took your advice. I did bring a friend week. I didn't really know exactly how you guys teach it, but I promoted it. I think I think 30 people came in and they signed 12. She's like, I changed the program and did all these things. I'm like, great, good. Those were all small action items. When is it? What's the program? What's the referral offering? And that was all done simply by stuff we put out on the podcast. I don't know. I mean, if you're listening to this, raise your hand if you don't want 12 clients in 1 month. If you're raising your hand, slap yourself, because nobody wants that, right? I know, well, Jay, you don't, but you don't actually have an affiliate, so it doesn't matter.
My affiliate's so busy these days. It's like,
it sucks. It sucks.
Well,
that
all right, we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Always doing bodybuilding.
We're gonna wrap this thing up, but I think, well, first of all, I'm gonna say this. Speaking in hyperbole, Bring a Friend Week is all boxes need annually to grow by net 36.
You could do it. It's you need to do it well, right? You can't just do Bring a Friend Week, but like there's certain things you need to do there. But like it is more than enough if done correctly to get you what you need.
Yeah, I mean, I yelled at a friend box owner because they were doing Bring a Friend Day, which is the dumbest, laziest. I don't, it's like every box does it, and it's like you're dumb and lazy if you do that. You're dumb because you're not thinking, hey, this isn't working, but I'm going to keep doing it. And you're lazy because it's easy and it's stupid. Bring a Friend Week works. Bring a Friend Day does not work. We don't have to go over that, because if you do Bring a Friend Day, I'm right. And you're sitting there thinking to yourself right now, fuck, Ackerman's right. I'm stupid. I hope you're thinking that. Bring a Friend Week will work. And
I'm definitely not thinking that. Yeah.
And I will tell you this much. I'm going to throw this out there. If someone signed up for Affiliate U, Bring a Friend Week alone will produce the ROI they want on Affiliate U. And that's probably 2% of what we coach, if that. It's right. One lesson. Anyway, so if you want to learn more about that, and here's the deal. The second thought these people are having right now is, well, maybe he's right, but I can do it on my own. You've just doubled down on your stupidity. That's what you've done. You've told me twice now you're dumb because you've never done something.
I'll see your comment that I'm dumb, and I will raise you.
I will raise you one level of dumbness.
All in. I am all in. I will take all of my stupid chips, and I will go all in. I am all in dumb right now.
I'm telling you, though, and you agree with it. I'm right.
I thought I was the one that was right. Anyway.
We're both right. Anyway, we got to wrap this thing up. Set goals, break them down, put them on your calendar, and start moving towards them. And if you have goals for your affiliate, hit us up, because we will help you achieve them. In 2021, the success our Affiliate U clients had was amazing. And 2022 will be no different, and you can be a part of that.
I'll one-up you. If you're listening to this, I want you, listen, we're going to speak it to the world. You're going to post it somewhere, social media, Instagram, Facebook, and you're going to tag us on there, because I want to know what they are. Tag us on there because I want to know what they are. Okay, one of my goals is to get rid of that person right there, who's now on this side. So, yeah.
Get rid of Lindsay, for sure.
Yeah, get rid of Lindsay. So, put it out there, and then tag us on
I'm going to change it.
I want to know what they are.
Cancel Lindsay.
Yeah,
I think we should cancel Lindsay. Cancel. But you're absolutely right. Put it out there. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Set some goals for 2022. Chances are, if you listen to this show, you can do it. You can certainly do it. You're smart. You've proven to me you're smart, despite the two things I said about being dumb earlier. They can be the same. You could be dumb about Bring a Friend Week, but smart because you listen to this show. Except, of course, for INV1245. He's just plain old dumb dude. But set some goals, tag us. We will help you achieve them. Hit us up if you want to learn more about Affiliate U. Take your box in the next level in 2022. New curriculum coming out. 1 year. We got so much good stuff. Katie and I are heading to Virginia Beach on Monday or Sunday, I should
3
say.
days.
And we got some crazy stuff. We'll talk about that in a future episode because that's huge. But I got to bounce. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.